Now let's take a look at how you can use factoring to solve some equations. For this particular one, we're going to solve the equation using the zero product property, which takes into consideration that if you multiply two things together and get 0, you will have to have one or the other equals 0, which means we first need this to equal 0. So how about if we move both of these terms over here so that we have 0 on your right-hand side? We'll do that by, since this is a negative 16x, we'll add 16x to both sides. And since this is a negative 3, we'll add 3 to both sides. That will give us 5x squared plus 16x plus 3 equals a negative 16x plus 16x minus 3 plus 3. These will cancel, and so will those, so this side is left with 0. And on this side, we have 15x squared plus 16x plus 3. Now we need to factor our trinomial here. And I notice there's 3 terms, there's nothing in common to them, and the first coefficient here is a 5, it's not a 1. So let's use factoring by grouping. Let's multiply this 5 times the 3, and 5 times 3 is 15. We need factors of 15 that'll add up to the 16 in the middle. So I notice that 15 is the same thing as 1 times 15. And 1 plus 15 would give us our 16 in the middle. So let's separate the 16x into a 1x plus a 15x, which is where that 16x came from. We're going to carry down our 15x squared and our 3 equaling 0. Now we'll factor by grouping. So we'll group the first 2 terms and the last 2 terms together, making sure you have an addition in between them. Notice these first 2 terms both have an x. Let's factor our x out. X divides into 5x squared 5x times, and x divides into a 1x 1 time. Then, for our second set of parentheses, notice that 3 will divide evenly into those. So we'll factor out a 3. 3 divides into 15x 5x times, and 3 divides into 3 once. Notice that the parentheses here and here both match. So that means we can factor in 5x plus 1 out of this first term and a 5x plus 1 out of this second term to get 5x plus 1 times, when you remove it here, you're left with an x, and when you factor it out of there, you're left with a 3. And that equals 0. Now, in order for this to equal 0, either this is 0 or that is 0. So we're going to set 5x plus 1 equal to 0 and then solve it. That will give us one answer, or the other possible answer would be our x plus 3 equaling to 0. Here we will go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides. That will move our 1 over to the other side, and those will cancel. We get a 5x equaling negative 1. And then to isolate our x, we'll divide by 5. So x is negative 1/5. This is one possible solution. We need to go find the other possible solution. When we take a look at this, we have to isolate the x, so we have to make this positive 3 move to the other side. So let's subtract 3. So we'll subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. That makes those cancel. So the other possible solution is x equaling negative 3. So we have a possible solution of negative 1/5 or negative 3. Your solution set is the set of negative 3 or negative 1/5.